Hey everyone, Alicia here. So lately I've gotten the same question over and over from friends and family members and followers on Instagram wondering why the heck I want to through hike the Appalachian Trail next year, especially when I have a perfectly good house at home. You know, a lot of people think that hiking 2,193 miles from Georgia to Maine sounds insane, and maybe it is, I don't know. But I figured I'd come on here, film a video to answer that question and sort of give a little bit of an idea whether or not you agree or relate or think that it explains anything. That's up to you. But I figured I would do my best to try to explain it to everyone who's interested and then answer a few other questions that I've gotten within the last couple of months from people that I thought were interesting. So without further ado, let's just dive right in. So why do I want to through hike the Appalachian Trail? Like I said, it's 2,193 miles from Georgia to Maine. That seems absurd to a lot of people to even consider. You know, when we have vehicles and planes and steady jobs and all of these things, it seems crazy to basically just like ditch out on your life for that length of time and to put your body and mind through that. So really the main reason why I've decided to do this, and I guess what the biggest thing would be, is because I have sort of lost faith in humanity and people over the last couple of years. And I'm not going to even go down that road because that's neither here nor there. But overall, I've just lost a lot of faith in people, and I'm really struggling to find the good in people. And I know deep down, I know most people are good and have good intentions for each other. And I'm really hoping that being out on trail and walking through all these small towns and meeting people and needing to rely on strangers for help along the way will help me sort of reset and get back to that mindset that I do have deep down, that most people are good. And I just think this will be a good way to reset, you know, with all the political and COVID stuff that's been going on and polarizing the country for the last 2 years. It's really affected me on a pretty deep level. So this is just a great way to sort of reset that. The second biggest reason that I'm deciding to do this is because I feel like I'm just ready to push myself physically and mentally with a challenge like this. You know, obviously this is a very big undertaking in both aspects, and I think that my body can do it, and I just really want to prove to myself that it can. Another thing is, anyone who knows me, especially from a young age, knows that I've always sort of been the type of person to go against the crowd. I've always forged my own path and kind of thrived on being different. And while that's great, I've always had someone else to rely on other than just having to rely on myself. You know, I've been in relationships since high school, pretty much back to back. And before that, obviously, I was with my parents. So I'm really using this opportunity to sort of see what I'm capable of. I have to form relationships with people. I'm going to have to get out of my comfort zone. You know, if you know me, I'm introverted. I don't like asking for help. So I'm going to have to get out of my comfort zone and ask people for help and really just sort of forge my own way to be successful on my journey. To that same end, I also think it's important to me to not just sort of get stuck in the status quo of life. You know, we are expected to grow up, be involved in activities, excel at school, go to college, get a good job, make money, pay bills, go to work every day, and repeat that same process until we retire. And then when we retire, we're, you know, ready to have an adventure of our lives. And that's not always guaranteed. So I think it's really important that if you want to do something now, don't wait. Go out and do it. You know, don't wait for retirement. You know, careers are important, jobs are important, but there's always going to be a job out there. You know, obviously, if you're a career-oriented person that's worked really hard to get to a certain position in your company, maybe you don't want to leave that, but that's not me. I love adventure. I love doing my own thing, going against the status quo, and just having an adventure. And what I hope to ultimately gain from this experience is not only to, see the good in people, but I want to gain more patience in life and appreciation for the little things. Being a peak bagger, primarily with my hiking career, it's very easy to miss all the little things and get caught up in reaching the summit and seeing those epic views from the summit. And I feel like, especially living in Colorado, I got spoiled with that, and it was very easy for me to overlook the little things. And I want to appreciate nature more. I want to appreciate the animals, the noises, the plants, just the little things that I've for so long overlooked. I just want to appreciate the things that I do have back home. It's easy to get caught up in disappointments and feeling unhappy about things when really, especially me, like, I have so many good things in my life and I need to learn to appreciate that more. All right, so that's sort of the gist of why I'm doing the trail. I'm going to answer a few other questions that I got on Instagram from people. And just keep in mind, I do have another frequently asked questions video that I posted like 10 months ago, right after I first decided to do this. So if you're interested in more basic type questions, that video covers those. All right, so the first question was, do you plan or hope to explore any towns or cities you pass through on the trail? And yes, absolutely. That's another reason why I'm doing this trail, is that I want to experience the United States outside of, just the major cities that we regularly would expect to travel to. So the trail actually goes through a lot of really cool small trail towns. In particular, I'm excited about stopping in Damascus, Virginia, Hot Springs, North Carolina. Let's see what else. There's quite a few trails. I have a few like hostels that I definitely want to try to stop at that are in towns, but that's definitely on my list of things to do. All right, the next question is, why alone and not with Jordan? So that's primarily a logistical answer. So we've got 2 dogs, we have a house, and it would be a lot more difficult for us to logistically plan this out if both of us left that all behind. So, we would need someone to take care of our dogs for 5 to 6 months, which I would never want to ask anyone to do because both of our dogs have medical issues, and our cat now too. And then just in general, our house as well, as far as the maintenance and living in it. There's some people do rent out their house when they're on the AT, or some people actually even go as far as selling their house. That's not something that we're interested in doing. So ultimately, for those reasons, and also for financial reasons, it's a lot less money that we have to save if just one of us goes versus if both of us goes. Jordan will be home watching the dogs, taking care of the house, making money still so that he can pay for a bulk of the bills. I will be paying for some of them with money that I've saved this past year. So what are you most excited for? I'm excited to just go on an adventure, do my own thing, prove to myself that I can do this. I'm excited to see all the towns along the way and to meet people that have the same interests and goals and values as I do. And then on that same note, what am I least excited for? I'm least excited for the cold days, the rainy days, the days where I just don't feel like hiking, but I have to. And definitely I'm least excited about being away from my dogs and Jordan for 5 months, 5 to 6. All right, so the next 2 questions are actually sort of related. They're both related to work. The first question is, how do you plan for months off work? I would love to hike the AT, but I can't with my job. And the second question is, how did you approach it with your employer? So first, I have not told my employer yet that I'm going to be doing this. There's a variety of reasons for that. Ultimately, it's all sort of related to job security at the present time, but I do plan to tell them closer to when I leave, a month or 2 out. And then how do I plan for months off work? So I'm saving money, and that money that I've been saving over the last year and a half will cover what my salary would have been, or at least enough to cover my on-trail costs and a couple bills. Since Jordan's still working, when I'm gone, his salary will be able to cover the rest of the bills. Ultimately, people do one of two things if they plan to thru hike the Appalachian Trail. The first option is to request a leave of absence from your job. So the benefit to that would be you have a guaranteed position to come back to once you're done with the trail. And also, typically, from my understanding, you would still be getting your health insurance benefits through your employer. You would just have to back pay the premiums that you missed in your missed paychecks. But those are the two benefits. Now, of course, with the leave of absence, there's always a risk that your employer won't approve a leave of absence and you'll be forced to quit, or just quitting your job is another option right off the bat. So leave of absence or quit your job, obviously plan financially for either one. I myself am leaning towards quitting my job. I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to find a job when I return. I work in the healthcare field, so I get quite a few LinkedIn messages and things like that already, that I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to get a job pretty easily when I get back. The other thing to that is a lot of people actually change so much when they're on trail. When, let's say you took a leave of absence and your employer's holding your job for you, you hikes for 6 months, and you as an individual might change so much during that time that you have this revelation that this isn't what you want to do for the rest of your life. Or, your job isn't what you want to do for the rest of your life. So a lot of people actually totally change life paths after or during their thru hike. And that's, a very good possibility. I'm not going to rule that out as a possibility for myself. You get a lot of clarity when you're alone hiking for 5 months about what you want out of life, and your job that you have before the trail might not be what you want out of life. So a lot of people will opt to just quit their job because there's a very good chance they might not want to go back to it when they return anyway. All right, so that's sort of the gist of things about job. The next question is, are you scared of being exhausted? I don't know that I would say I'm scared of being exhausted. I definitely know that I will be exhausted. It's a lot of exertion from a day-to-day basis. I'll probably be sore and in pain every day. But that's part of the challenge and the excitement of it, is to see what my body's capable of. So, if I get to the point where I feel like I'm too exhausted and it's not safe anymore, I'll definitely take a 0 day and rest, maybe 2 0 days. But yeah, I'm not super scared necessarily. I'm expecting it. All right, next question is, how did you plan your budget? So I actually have a video that I posted, a month or two ago, about how to afford a thru hike of the Appalachian Trail. I'll put a little link up here in the corner of how you can go watch that. And that really goes into the details of how I personally am affording this thru hike. Next question is, what state or section are you looking forward to most? So I'm looking forward to starting. So I'm excited for Georgia for that reason. And then secondly, I'm excited for New Hampshire and Maine. I've hiked in both of those states before, actually on the AT for a little bit, and I love it up there. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful, it's the type of hiking that I like. The vistas are amazing, and I'm just really excited for those sections. Not to mention, Katahdin has been on my bucket list for a couple of years. We were actually supposed to do it last year, but then COVID happened, so we didn't get to do it. So I'm super excited for Katahdin as well. How can we send supplies and goodies when you have your days in town? So that's a great question. I'm actually considering doing a whole video about trail angels and trail magic. And thank you for asking that question and considering sending me stuff while I'm on trail. For those of you who know me personally especially, I'll definitely be really open to sharing with you privately where exactly I am and where I'm anticipating being in X number of days. As I get my groove and I figure out how many miles per day I'm doing and how quickly I'm moving, etc., I should be able to plan, a few days to a week out of where I'm gonna be. So I'll know a few days in advance of when I'm gonna hit a town and when. So if you're interested in sending me something directly, feel free to reach out to me, find out when I'm going to be in a town next and where that is. And I'll definitely let you know if I know you personally. Strangers, probably not going to share that specifics. Sorry, no offense. But I do always have a link in my Instagram to a virtual Trail Angel fund where you can donate cash to me, and that cash would go towards trail supplies, food resupplies, gear, etc. All right, the next question is, will it be cold or snowy? So I'm not sharing my exact start date on here, but I am starting when it's going to be cold and snowy still in the winter, technically, if you're looking at a calendar. So yes, it will be cold and snowy, and not really, like, the worst of it won't actually be when I start. The worst of it will be in the Smokies in Tennessee, from what I hear. So the Smokies are pretty high in elevation, so naturally it's going to be colder. And from what I've heard, the Smokies can have like feet of snow during the time that I'm going to be passing through there. So I'm definitely preparing for that and packing for that. I might end up taking more nights in hostels and hotels than I'm originally planning for, if the weather forecast is too bad or if the temperatures are too cold. But you know, I'm expecting it, and if I need to take some zeros until the temperature warms up or snow melts, I'm not opposed to doing that either. All right, and the last question is a pretty general question. It's, how long is this going to take me? So I actually went through and planned a very, 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 very loose itinerary of how many miles I plan to do a day. And, you know, I put in 0 days and things like that in there. And obviously that itinerary is probably going to go to shit within a week of me being on trail. But it sort of gave me a general idea of how long I think it's going to take me. I'm anticipating that it's going to take me about 5 months. That's with some 0 rest days thrown in there, and starting off my miles, you know, like 10 to 15 miles a day to start, and then slowly increasing to somewhere around like the 20 mile per day range. And I know there are some sections you can actually push way longer than that, where people on average can do like 25 to 30 miles a day easily. But we'll see. I didn't want to plan for that and then end up being way off. So 5 months is what I'm anticipating. But if it takes 6, I'm good with that. I'm saving enough money for 6 months on trail and 7 months of bills. So I'm good if it takes longer than that. All right, everyone, so that's all the questions that I have today. So if you have any questions that I didn't answer today and I didn't answer in the last video that I posted a few months ago, feel free to drop them in the comments below. I'm not opposed to doing another Q&A video as I get closer to hitting the trail. So feel free to, again, drop them in the comments, reach out to me on Instagram. Otherwise, you can comment, like, subscribe, share, do whatever to get my videos out there. And yeah, I'll see you again soon. Bye.